They claimed, "Family shares everything." I replied, "Sure. Then let's split his debts too." Silence arrived quicker than gratitude. My truck wasn't a charity. It was my grind on wheels. I kept the title and the route, and they kept their opinions unfunded. I was 31 when the ballroom lights went dark. My last event canceled with a one-line email. Per state order, all gatherings are suspended. I waited in the loading dock for the florist who never came, collecting leftover votives like they were coins. By May 2020 my hours were 0 until further notice. 2 months later my cushion, $3, $4.80 across checking and a shoebox envelope, was a memory. The landlord's notice said, balance due, $1,642 by Friday. It might as well have said leave. I sold my cocktail dresses for $18 each on Marketplace, boxed my binder of floor plans, and bought a camper that looked better at sunset than at noon. A 1999 Sunnybrook with a soft spot by the sink, $1,900 cash. The seller said, "She's got character," which meant the roof wept when it rained and the propane line needed a new regulator. I named her June because I needed the month to last. I pointed June west to Toledo. My parents' driveway had always meant reset. Laundry, lasagna, Dad's bad jokes. As I turned onto Hickory Ridge, I rehearsed my pitch. 2 weeks, I'll find something. And the smile I used on brides' mothers. The porch was louder than I remembered. Kayla, 27, charged onto it like the foreman of a job site. Behind her, Travis, in a graphic tee about grinding that had never met a time clock, and their 4 kids with popsicles the color of sports drinks. They'd moved in temporarily last fall when Travis's cousin lost their apartment. Kayla clocked the trailer hitch and laughed. "We don't have room for singles," she said, like it was a policy taped to the door. "Quarantine bubbles can't take strays," Travis added, leaning on a railing he hadn't repaired. Mom's face hovered behind the screen, eyes apologizing, hands not opening the latch. I said, "Just the driveway. 2 weeks." Dad stepped into frame, jaw tight. "We're not a KOA. You want to play trailer life, go full-time." Then he said it, sharp and simple, "Trailer bum." The neighbor across the cul-de-sac lifted his phone like a periscope. Kayla's thumb danced. 10 seconds later a story pinged my phone from her account. A slow pan across June's dented fender, captioned, "Plan your life, kids." Heat crawled up my neck. I stared at the brass kickplate that used to bang when I ran in for Kool-Aid. I said, "Copy," because I needed a word that wouldn't break in my mouth. I reversed until the mailbox disappeared, then kept going. No one followed. My mother didn't call. The Walmart lot-off Airport Highway became my first address. It had lighting, a view of the cart corral, and a security SUV that looped every 40 minutes. I learned the rhythm. Pull in near the garden center. Park nose out. A line with a camera. I bought a $15 per month gym pass for showers and a padlock for the locker that squeaked. Night 1, I slept with pepper spray in my palm and my key between my fingers like a cat's claw. Phone screen dimmed to 10%. Alarm set for 1:20 a.m. and 3:40 a.m. to scan mirrors and breathe. Fear lasted 3 nights. On night 4, it cured into a plan. I made a log in my binder. Power, water, bathrooms, exits. I bought a 100-foot extension cord, a surge protector with a reset button, and a battery pack that promised 20,000 milliamp hours and delivered half. I learned the difference between no overnight parking signs that meant it and the ones that didn't. I tested the propane line with soapy water and replaced the regulator with a $28 part using a crescent wrench and U-tube. The roof stopped weeping after a tarp, 2 tubes of dicer, and a prayer spoken like a checklist. Days I applied to everything. Hotels on skeleton crews. Hospitals needing screening staff. Warehouses advertising $15.50/HR plus OT. I set a rule. 20 applications a day, no skipping weekends. I kept a tally in pen. 1 to 20, 21 to 40. I made a spreadsheet on my phone with columns for date, title, contact, outcome. Rejections came in 2 flavors. "We'll keep your resume," and silence. I answered both with the same motion. Send the next one. Money bled in small numbers. $2.19 for instant oats. $7.48 for a tarp bungee set. $12.72 for a jug of def I didn't need because June didn't drink it, but a man at the pump told me I should. I learned to park near the lawn mowers at noon because the smell of cut grass felt like a meal. I ate tuna from a pouch with store-brand crackers and told myself the crunch was control. I stopped checking Kayla's stories after she posted a time-lapse of their living room, homeschool zone. Travis nodding like a foreman over a worksheet. My thumb hovered at unfollow. I didn't give her the satisfaction of a statistic. Instead, I opened a new note and wrote the line I could live inside. I won't let them be right about me being nothing. Then I underlined it twice and set an alarm for 6 a.m. labeled 20 more. Sleepless nights made old patterns bright as hazard tape. Kayla always got the bigger room, the door that actually closed, the dresser with smooth tracks. I got the one with the window that stuck in August and the closet rod that bowed like a sad smile. Fairness is theater when company's here, Mom would say, meaning fairness only counted when there were witnesses. When Aunt Teresa visited, we split chores evenly. When the minivan pulled away, I was back on dishes plus trash plus wiping fingerprints nobody admitted to. On my 18th birthday, I came home from a Saturday shift at Dairy Queen to find my life in black contractor bags on the porch. A printable banner, playroom, hung from my ceiling fan behind the glass. You're grown, Dad said, not unkind, just done. I slept on friends' couches for 3 months and timed my showers to the high school's early morning swim team, walking in with a towel like I belonged. My parents didn't attend graduation. Mom texted a balloon emoji. I folded the gown and mailed the cap tassel to myself because I wanted the envelope to say my name. State school became my plan because it wasn't anyone else's. I took 2 jobs, campus events on Fridays, buffet line on Sundays, and learned to carry a tray at shoulder height for 2 hours without shaking. Thanksgiving break, I stayed on campus and ironed rental linens for a conference in the Union Ballroom. Kayla posted a photo of a perfectly iced bundt cake with the caption "Family Time" and tagged everyone but me. I muted her and learned the quiet that comes when you stop asking to be chosen. Cleveland gave me the illusion of arrival for a while. Banquet diagrams, vendor calls, the thrill of a flawless room flip. Then the year ate the calendar. Nights in the Walmart lot sharpened the memory into a thesis. They trained me to accept no as the air in the room. The camera lens on Kayla's phone was just the new lamp they shone on me. Once I named it, it lost power. No is a door. The hinge is on my side. I widened the job search to anything with a loading dock. A distribution center in Akron posted, "Night shift loader. $16.25/HR. Temp to hire." I applied at 2:11 a.m., got a call at 9:03, and said, "I can start tonight." I hauled June down I-77 at noon, a highway of buckled concrete and orange barrels, and parked behind a beige warehouse with a mural of a cartoon pallet jack. Security scanned my license, pointed to a row of outlets by the smoker's awning, and said, "Don't block the blue door." There were bathrooms 20 steps away and a spigot that coughed but ran. The first week was boxes and breath. I learned Doc 12's personality, temperamental leveler, left roller squeaks. My trainer, Tasha, taught me the rhythm. Scan, slide, stack, strap. Don't fight gravity. Redirect it. I wrote notes on a note card taped inside my palm. Heels down, bend hips, eyes up. I slept 2 hours in June between the 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. inbound waves. Fan on low, phone face down so its glow didn't convince me I was alone. I said yes to every shift. Saturday doubles. Tuesday weather emergency, when half the crew couldn't get out of their driveways. I kept receipts for everything. $3.19 coffee, $11.04 work gloves, $39.99 steel-toe boots from a discount bin that ate my heels until I taped them. At 90 days, they converted me to full-time, $18.75/HR, then $20.10 with the lead differential. On day 127, the ops manager asked if I wanted to run the 2 a.m. line. I said, "If I can keep loading when the board is thin." He laughed. "You're the last person I worry about hiding." Parking behind the building felt less like hiding and more like staging. I ran an extension cord through June's tiny kitchen window and labeled it with painter's tape, Emma, Doc. I kept the surge protector off until I could see the breaker panel lights, then on click like permission. I mapped the bathrooms, the safe exits, the blind spots by the cardboard baler. I carried a mini first aid kit. Moleskin, ibuprofen, tweezers. Control isn't a feeling. It's a pile of tiny tools within reach. Money, finally, obeyed me. I opened a high-yield savings account and named it Freedom Fund. Every Friday at 9:12 a.m., 60% of net moved automatically. No feelings, just math. I tracked groceries to the penny. $24.88 Aldi run. $0 when I took the ugly vegetable box at the end of shift. I patched June's soft spot with marine plywood and 4 countersunk screws because wood that doesn't flex changes the way you move. Benefits arrived like weather you can plan around. Dental on the 1st of the month. Paid time off accruing in decimals. I used the clinic's flu shot, filled out the 401k match paperwork, and wrote plus 3% on a post-it stuck to my microwave as a promise to future me. Tasha taught me to back a loaded cart into position without scissoring. I taught her how to freeze leftover soups into muffin tins for portion control. Exchange, not favor. When Kayla posted a story about manifesting abundance, I scrolled past. My fingers didn't itch. I'd outgrown the role that made her tall. Some nights, after the 4 a.m. rush, I sat on June's step with a thermos and watched forklifts script bright arcs across the dark. Not glory, not even comfort, just the clean click of a life I was wiring with my own hands. I set the 6 a.m. alarm and labeled it load. Leave. I didn't need their door anymore. I was building mine. 16 months of loading docks and thermoses turned into numbers with edges. The Freedom Fund hit $26,500 on a Thursday at 9:12 a.m. I took a screenshot and labeled it green light. I'd been stalking auction listings for months, ignoring anything with quirky in the description. A retired fair vendor in Lorraine had a 14-foot kitchen trailer. Stainless walls, triple sink, 36-inch flat top, hood that actually pulled. Asking $12,500. I drove June up, crawled under with a flashlight, saw surface rust and solid cross members. We counted dents. I offered $10,800, settled at $11,200 cash and a handshake through nitrile gloves. I parked the trailer beside the warehouse and started scrubbing like it owed me rent. Simple green, steel wool, a playlist I could sweat to. The floor was a patchwork of soft spots, so I cut out rectangles, sistered the joists, and laid coin vinyl with a heat gun and a J-roller until it looked like a gym. The previous owner had twisted wire nuts like ornaments. I pulled clean runs of 12 halves, labeled breakers, and installed a GFCI where someone had written "Be careful" in Sharpie. A friend from the line welded a new propane cage for pizza money. I bought a used fryer, swapped its mystery oil, and passed my own sniff test. Menu stayed small on purpose. 3 smash burgers, standard, onion, jalapeno, seasoned fries, a signature sauce I'd tuned in June's tiny kitchen until it sang mayo, mustard, smoked paprika, minced pickle, a hit of anchovy paste. I filed for the food handler card, fire inspection, city vendor permit. Socials at June Burger Truck. A 1-page site with hours, allergies, and a square photo of a patty with lacy edges. I picked a spot between a state college and a cluster of beige office parks. A curb with a legal window 11 to 2 and a coffee shop willing to share trash if I kept things neat. Opening Saturday, I staged like a ballroom. Patty stacks cut, onions shaved, buns warmed in a sheet pan under the hood. I taped my prices low and my standards high. At 10:58 a.m. 2 students wandered over, then a line angled itself into existence. The first ticket hit the rail at 11:02. The flat top hissed like applause. I fell into a dance. Press, season, scrape, flip, cheese, drop fries, bag, smile through steam. By 2:10 p.m., I was out of jalapenos, and the cash box felt heavier than my arm. After restocking costs, the square fees, and a conservative set-aside for propane and paper, Net sat around $420 per day for the first weekend. I slept like my bones were charging. On Tuesday, I posted a lunch special and accidentally geotagged my exact curb. The account lit up with hearts and that family name I hadn't blocked. At 12:07 p.m., 2 cars swung in like a convoy. Mom beelined to the window, cutting the line with a hand wave. Family doesn't wait. Dad leaned around her. Chocolate shake. Heavy on the chocolate. Like I stocked ice cream. Kayla announced to the crowd. Family discount. 100%. We support ours. As if she were emceeing charity night. Travis whistled and slapped the service window like a bell. People blinked, then shifted. 2 office guys peeled off. A woman in scrubs muttered, "Yikes," and stepped back. I said, "Please join the line." In my banquet voice, "Mom, Emma, we're not paying at our own child's truck." Kayla, "Exposure, babe. We're boosting." In 5 minutes I passed $96 of product across the window. 4 burgers, 3 fries, 2 waters, and a phantom shake. While my actual customers watched my boundaries get shoplifted. I printed receipts and stapled them to a page labeled family. $0.00 because records are how I breathe. I took the geotag off, deleted the story, and posted, "Card only, no cash, no exceptions." I moved the square stand closer to me and added a small sign. "We serve in order of the queue, thanks." The next days steadied. Students tagged friends, office folks came back, and a man from the coffee shop brought over a spare bin and said, "Do not let anyone take your day." A week later, a calendar invite from Kayla popped up. Family Council, Sunday 3 p.m. I clicked in out of morbid curiosity. For squares, Mom, Dad, Kayla, Travis, Hood Up, Vape Fog. Kayla started with, "We're proud, but we're concerned about sustainability." Mom nodded. Dad said, "Restaurants fail." Travis leaned forward, spreadsheet open on his phone like it might sprout numbers. Their proposal slid out oily smooth. Travis would temporarily run the truck. Guy Energy brings lunch crowds. While I returned to a stable job with benefits, profits would be for the kids until the storm passes. They said "we" 93 times and my name twice. I let the silence go long. Then I said the smallest word with the biggest lock. "No." Kayla blinked, like she'd lost a cue card. She tried a different angle. "Family shares everything." I smiled the way I do when a keg line snarls and I already know where the kink is. "Great. Then let's split his debts too." Silence arrived faster than gratitude. Dad's face stiffened. Mom said, "Emma," in the tone that used to shrink me. I didn't shrink. "My truck isn't a charity. It's my grind on wheels," I said. "I'm keeping the title and the route, and you can keep your opinions unfunded." I ended the call, screenshotted the invite, and filed it under a folder named Boundaries with the $0 receipts. Then I went outside, checked the propane, reset the breaker, and made 2 test burgers for quality because the line would be back tomorrow and I answer to the grill, not the chorus. The first 1-star hit at 9:02 a.m. on a Monday. Food poisoning. Pray for my babies. No order number, no timestamp, no specifics, just a profile with a stock sunset and 3 followers. By noon, 5 more new accounts chimed in. Dirty trailer. Grease trap for brains. Emma refused the children. My rating bled from 4.8 to 3.1 in a day. I checked tickets against the names. None matched. My stomach tried to do what they accused me of doing to theirs. I answered once like a patient adult. "I take safety seriously. Can you DM your order time so I can investigate?" The accounts didn't reply. 2 of them posted the same photo of a gray burger that wasn't mine, same chipped plate, same shadow. Copy-paste outrage with different emojis. I flagged what I could and went back to prep. Cuts of onion, smash of patties, salt from the shoulder. The line still formed at 11:05, but hesitation hummed underneath, like a cooler that won't shut off. At 11:20, a familiar wobble broke off from the sidewalk and headed for my window. Travis, red-eyed, vape clenched in his fist like a trophy. "Karma," he muttered to no one, then louder, "Karma!" She refused the children. Can you believe? He leaned his forearms on my service shelf, breath like spilled beer. The couple at the front of the line took a step back. The office guys turned their badges around like they were hiding. I said, "Calm. You're trespassing. Please leave the window." He grinned, patted the ledge, and stage whispered, "Family discount. Right, M?" My hand stayed moving. Press, scrape, flip, while my other hand hit the record button on my phone in its window mount. "Travis?" I said, still calm. "Back up or I'll call the police." He smirked, knocked the napkin dispenser onto the pavement, and swayed. The line became a held breath. I pointed the camera, said, "You have 5 seconds," and watched him count on his fingers like it was funny. Then he staggered off, shouting, "Don't eat the poison." That afternoon, the reviews doubled. New accounts with identical phrasing. Saw the owner scream at a father. I pulled my phone log, service camera clips, and my binder of tickets. I'd avoided the family playbook for years. Don't explain, don't feed the beast. But silence was letting their version rent space in strangers' heads. I set the grill to seasonal low, took a breath, and wrote what I wish someone had written for me at 18. A clean timeline with receipts. Thread. I began. Since people are tagging my truck, here are facts with screenshots. Slide 1. My 18th birthday bags on the porch. Dated text from Mom. "You're grown now." Slide 2. The $0 receipts stapled to the page labeled family the day of the tribute. Photo of them around my window. Kayla's caption, "Family discount, 100%. Slide 3. The calendar invite, family council. Proposal that Travis temporarily run my truck while I got a stable job, profits for the kids. Slide 4. Geotag mistake, the convoy at lunch, my posted policy. Queue order, card only. Slide 5. Today's video of Travis at the window, audio clear, karma family discount. My 3 requests to leave, the napkin dispenser hitting pavement. Slide 6. My health permit, last inspection report, temp logs with 165 degrees checks, sanitizer test strips, glove changes. Names cropped to initials except theirs. Tone stayed flat. No adjectives, no diagnoses. I wrote, "I love burgers, not drama. If you had a bad meal, show me a ticket and we'll fix it. If you're inventing kids and poisoning, seek help. As for family, I won't be bullied into unpaid support or handing over my business." I ended with my schedule and a photo of a burger in natural light. Edges laced crisp. I hit post and put the phone face down. For 7 minutes, nothing. Then the town arrived, students who'd eaten here, office crews who'd laughed at my saucy puns, the coffee shop guy with the spare bin. I was in line, she was calm. One nurse wrote, "This burger changed my Friday, and I don't even like burgers," a professor said. People mass-reported the fakes. 3 vanished before my next batch of fries landed. A cousin slid into my DMs with a quiet apology and a screenshot of the family chat where Kayla crowed, "Teach her a lesson." An aunt I hadn't seen since state school commented, "Proud of you for setting boundaries." I saved every message in a folder named Light. Kayla tried one last volley, "No one airs family business." But the replies came from people who had watched me hand out spare napkins and joke about anchovies. She posted receipts, you posted vibes. The phrase stuck, receipts over vibes. I printed my temp logs and taped them to the inside of the window where I could see them, not as a shield but as a mirror. Truth made me feel taller than permission ever had. By Friday, sales rebounded. The rating crept back to 4.6 as the fake sludge got scraped off. A city moderator DM'd me that coordinated inauthentic activity was being investigated. I added a tiny sign by the menu, "Q respect equals faster fries." People smiled at it like they were in on the joke. At closing, I swept the lot, counted cash, and texted Tasha a photo of the line. "Look," I wrote, "we are not the stories they tell about us." She texted back a flexed bicep and a forklift. I locked the latch, set the alarm, and slept light but proud. Truth had weight. It held. I came back early on a Wednesday. Propane fill finished ahead of schedule, and saw it before my boots hit the asphalt. The door latch hanging crooked, The padlock split like a walnut. My stomach went cold and clear. I pulled my phone up, hit record, and pushed the door with 2 fingers. The smell hit first, burnt onions, old beer. Then the picture. Kayla at my flat top with a spatula she'd yanked from my magnetic strip. Travis in my apron like a joke. Both of them sweating over patties they hadn't weighed or tempied. A cash box I don't use sat open on the counter, seated with 5s like bait. "We'll show we can run it," Kayla said when she saw me. She flipped a dark puck, grinning. "Proving concept." I framed the lock shards on the floor, the cash setup, the food on my board, the posted policy. NO unauthorized entry. Authorized personnel. EB only. Timestamp. 10:41 a.m. I said, evenly, "Step away from my equipment. This is unlawful entry. You're being recorded." Travis puffed. "Family business." I dialed non-emergency, gave the address, then moved outside to wait in sightlines of 2 cameras and 7 witnesses. The coffee shop guy, the mail carrier, a trio of students with iced lattes, a woman from the tax prep office who whisper-yelled, "Do you need me to stay?" "Yes, please." The officers arrived at 10:57. Body cams on, they took statements. I handed them my permits, the video, the broken lock, and the $0 receipts stapled under family. Travis tried to swagger. "We're partners." An officer asked for paperwork proving partnership. He had none. I gave them a printout of my LLC, the title, photos of my intact lock from that morning, and a screenshot of Kayla's text. "We'll be running lunch." Exposure. Sent at 10:14 while I was paying for propane. The officer's pen paused. "So you weren't invited," he said to them, pen moving again. "They were cited and trespassed from the property." I filed reports. Unlawful entry, attempted theft, attempted fraud. Case number went into my binder with the date and officer names. I took a photo of the citation next to the busted lock like it was a before and after of a bathroom remodel. The video posted itself, really. The coffee shop account shared it. Students cut it into a tidy 1-minute reel with captions. "Sister breaks lock, tries to take over." By 6 p.m., it had 118,000 views. By morning, the local news used my first name, the word boundaries, and my temp logs in a B-roll close-up. The relatives who could usually blame Emma's attitude choked on the visuals. A cousin wrote, "I'm sorry, I didn't know." An uncle said, "Y'all are out of pocket," in the family group chat and got booted. I stocked buns and gloves and let the algorithm haul the truth. Then the call I knew would come. Mom, voice flat as a checkbook. "Drop it or you're no daughter." I said, "Don't threaten me. I'm done playing the role you wrote." She tried to pivot to tears. I said, "I'll speak through counsel if needed," and blocked. Dad left a voicemail about airing laundry and blood. I saved it to a folder named Leverage out of habit, then went back to slicing onions. Orders don't cook themselves. A month slid by. Tuesday afternoon, Kayla texted an olive branch in a trench coat. "Reconciliation? Diner? 3 p.m. I picked a booth by the window and ordered black coffee and a BLT I didn't eat. She arrived with sunglasses and a legal pad. "We want to make things right," she said, then flipped to bullet points. Public photo, joint statement to fix their image, a letter from me to her church women's group, and, slid across the formica, "Travis needs a job. Can you place him?" My mouth twitched. "No, an apology with terms isn't an apology." She blinked fast. "You're unforgiving." I set a $20 under my mug, covering both coffees because I like clean exits, and left. Outside, the sky was the color of used aluminum. My truck looked bright anyway. 2 weeks later, a tip pinged my phone like a glass tapping a table. Travis arrested for domestic violence. Docket number attached by a clerk who shouldn't have but did. Charges matched what we'd all pretended not to see. Shoves that didn't count. A hole by the laundry door. Gambling debts surfaced too. A payday loan servicer called my truck line by mistake looking for him. Left a message full of due dates and dread. I saved the audio, then deleted it. Not my debt, not my job. Kayla texted at 2:12 a.m. "Can we just talk?" I stared at the bubble until my eyes watered. Compassion flared hard and honest. I typed, if you need safety, shelter address, legal aid, clinic number, social services intake, county link. If you want me, it has to be without demands or lies. I won't host you in my truck or my home. I can meet you at the shelter in daylight. She wrote, you think you are better. I wrote, no, I think I'm allowed to live. Boundaries didn't make me stone. They made me a person. The next morning, I stapled a new page into my binder. Boundaries. List of non-negotiables. Door stays locked. No family at the window. Receipts over vibes. Compassion without self-erasure. I wiped the flat top until it reflected the order rail. At 11 a.m., the first ticket printed. Work first, then anything else. The line curved into its familiar shape. My lock, replaced with a puck lock and a steel hasp, shone like an answer I didn't need to explain. I hired a student in April, a sophomore named Miles who could dice onions without tears and call out tickets like a drummer. I paid him above board, set expectations in writing, and handed him a laminated card. Temps, glove rules, cue respect. He taped it inside the window like a creed. Day one he asked, why the puck lock? I said, because we keep what we build. In May, I rolled out a second spot downtown, a lunch-only curb between the courthouse and a park where office workers orbit at noon. Permits, fire inspection, a second propane cage, new signage that matched but didn't clone. I trained Miles on the college route and took downtown myself for the first month. I could feel the rhythm multiplying, 2 grills, 2 lines, 1 set of standards. Cash flow smoothed. I bought a second square stand and labeled the accounts Site A and Site B so nothing muddied. June, I signed a lease on a 1-bedroom over a bakery. Real kitchen. Light that came in clean. The lease was in my name alone, my deposit from my account, the kind of paperwork that used to have my parents' address on it because I didn't exist on paper. I moved June, the trailer, into a storage lot with cameras and a chain that would fight back. I bought dishes that matched, a pot that didn't wobble, knives that cut without apology. First night, I made myself a burger on a cast iron pan and ate it at a table that didn't fold. Grandma and 2 aunts came to the downtown opening. Grandma wore her church hat and ordered, whatever makes you proud, then ate with both hands like she'd been hungry for months. The aunts hugged me like they were apologizing without words. My parents lingered at a distance across the park, together but not touching. They didn't cross the line. Later, Mom texted, we started therapy. Thank you for letting the kids come with Grandma. It was the first sentence in years that didn't ask me for anything. I agreed to monthly kid visits, supervised by Grandma at the park by the ducks. The kids got fries and Sprite, then books from the trunk of my car. We played restaurant, which they understood better than real life. Kayla didn't show, her lawyer advised it. I didn't weaponize the absence. The kids aren't at fault. They're passengers. I drew a ring around them in my mind and kept my rules. 1 year after the break-in, both trucks were profitable. I put cameras on both windows and inside the doors, not because I planned for betrayal but because I planned for everything. My emergency fund hit $18,000 and I stopped waking at 2 a.m. to check my balance. I took a week in October and sat in a cheap rental by the ocean, listening to waves hammer decisions smooth. No posts, no family council, no narrative, just salt and a paperback that smelled like the library. My parents kept showing up in the right ways. Short calls, no demands. We're trying to be better, Dad said one Sunday, voice careful. I answered the line I'd practiced until it fit my mouth without splinters. It's not too late for you, but it's too late for us. He swallowed, then said, we'll keep trying. That was the first time I believed him without needing to move my boundary an inch. The trucks made me a calendar I trusted. Mondays off to batch sauce and rotate stock. Tuesdays and Wednesdays steady. Fridays with lines that snaked to the corner. I raised prices a quarter and posted why. Oil, buns, wages. No one argued. I gave Miles a raise and a written path to running Site B. He taped it next to the glove rules. Paper trails that lift, not choke. Kayla texted once from a number I didn't recognize. I'm in a program. I sent back, I'm glad. No money, no couch, no window access. She didn't argue. Silence, this time, wasn't a threat. It was a space where something might grow. If it did, it would be hers to tend. I furnished the apartment slowly. A second-hand sofa, a rug that felt like grass under my feet, plants that forgave me if I came home late. I put my binder on a shelf and labeled it with a piece of blue tape. Built. Not escaped. Built. I fell asleep in a bed that didn't fold with the window cracked to the smell of bread from below. My life is steady, chosen, mine. The family may never glue back together. That's not a failure. It's a fact. I can attend a school recital and leave without a lecture. I can send grandma home with a bag of buns and a kiss on the forehead. I can say no to shared property that always meant shared one way. I can keep the keys, the lock, the route, without permission, without apology.